Imagine you have made a fairly successful Pokemon video in which you analyze the intricacies of catching them all in Pokemon Yellow. And you conclude, in unequivocal terms, as fun as the Living Pokédex challenge is, I will not be attempting it on Pokemon Yellow. Hi, I'm Lyra, and today we are preparing to catch every single Pokemon in Yellow. So, what changed my mind? Well, after completing a Gen 3 Living Pokédex, which means not just fully completing the Pokédex, but actually obtaining every single Pokemon, I found myself missing simpler times. Don't get me wrong, I had a blast discovering the region of Hoenn and all the wonderful additions made to the Pokemon franchise during the 3rd generation. But I also had to play many different games on 2 different consoles, and keeping track of everything was a headache. I want to go back to a time where my brain isn't smoking all the time from all the thinkage. Also, I have learned a lot since the days of my original Red and Blue Living Dex challenge, both in how to play and how to make compelling video content. So, after eyeballing Gen 4 for a while, I decided it was the perfect time to return to the original Game Boy games. Which brings a simple question. What made me so frustrated with Yellow in the first place? My core complaint was simple. In order to catch all the Pokemon in the Special Pikachu edition, you need the help of both Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. But to catch all the Pokemon in Blue, you only need Red, and vice versa. This makes Yellow redundant when it comes to catching them all. My levels of salt went up even further with the fact that encounter rates and game corner prices are almost always worse in Yellow. So even for Pokemon we can obtain in this version, we are better off doing it elsewhere. Let me give you a few examples. Porygon, it costs 9,999 coins in Yellow, yet only 6,500 coins in Blue. Chansey, its best encounter rate drops from 10% in Red and Blue down to 5% in Yellow. Dratini, its best encounter rate is also lower, from 25% to 20%, and we lose the ability to just buy one at the game corner in the Special Pikachu edition, something we can do in Red and Blue. But wait, you ask, noticing I omitted an important detail. Yellow adds a 10% chance to find a Dragonair. Yes, it does. A level 15 Dragonair, with a uniquely lowered catch rate. So, good luck with that. But let's think positively. Since we have made up our mind that we want to play Yellow, what advantage does this bring? Well, for one, we get to have 3 full playthroughs of Gen 1, which makes my nostalgic self very excited. 3 save files also means we have 3 versions to choose Pokemon from at all times, and we will be able to use traded bonus XP way more this time. Essentially, we are trying to solve a different Gen 1 puzzle, and that's always exciting. Also, Pokemon Yellow is different from Red and Blue in several aspects, mostly the plot and graphics. A core component of a Living Pokédex challenge is that we have to replay the story several times, an issue exacerbated in Gen 1 since we don't have access to eggs. We need 9 starters? Time to start the game over and over again until we have all of them. If we can make one of these playthroughs feel different, it's a huge deal, believe me. So, how do we solve this Gen 1 puzzle? Before we do anything, let's set the rules of our challenge. First, we will use Pokemon Yellow as our main version and prioritize it for captures. After all, I could technically get everything in Red and Blue, transfer it to Yellow, and be done. But that would be against the spirit of the challenge. Second, we will choose to catch Pokemon ourselves over trading for them. One of the best changes in Yellow is making Pokemon like Farfetch'd and Lickitung, which were in-game trades only in Red and Blue, available in the wild. As the slogan says, gotta catch 'em all. So we gotta. And finally, we will be avoiding glitches. Gen 1 is notorious for being completely busted, something I have covered in other videos. But abusing bugs is not what we are trying to do here. There will be one exception to this rule, because we otherwise cannot obtain Mew. Now that we know what we want to achieve and how, we need a plan of action. Thankfully, I make websites. In fact, you can find our previous plans of action there. The funny thing is, I didn't make this website to help people. I made it to help myself. I need a place to track my progress and create a guide to assist me through the games. If it helps anyone else, that's a neat bonus. So, time to write the living Pokédex guide. How do I do that exactly? Well, you know what? Let's go through the process together. Starting with the starters. We know we are getting Pikachu at the start, and that the 3 original starters are available at some point in the story in Yellow. So we will get those and trade the remaining 6 from other versions to benefit from the trade XP boost and speed up the evolution process. That's already 10 Pokemon accounted for. We start like this because these Pokemon are bottlenecks. We are forced to obtain them the way the game has decided. Which is actually great, because this limitation provides us with the core skeleton of our journey. Case in point with our second category, unique encounters and gifts. The legendary birds in Mewtwo are very easy to add, since there is only one of each per save file. This means we have to visit Seafoam Islands, the Power Plant, Victory Road, and Cerulean Cave in Yellow. We will determine the exact captures later. For gifted Pokemon, we get one choice in Yellow, then trade the rest from our many save files of Red and Blue. This includes Lapras, Hitmonlee, and Hitmonchan, all the fossil Pokemon, and all the evolutions. Finally, we have Snorlax, present on both Routes 12 and 16. We will capture it on Route 12, as the aforementioned Farfetch'd is also available there. Which leads us to the location-exclusive Pokemon. Although these Pokemon are not technically unique, the fact they only appear in a single general area makes them bottlenecks as well. Farfetch'd only appears on Routes 12 and 13, and since we are already capturing Snorlax on Route 12, we will make that our preferred location. We also need to go through Diglett's Cave, since it is the only place to obtain Dugtrio. And Diglett, of course. I mentioned Lickitung earlier, so we will get one on the way to Mewtwo, in B1F of Cerulean Cave. Know who else is unique there in Pokémon Yellow? Sandslash. Really? In fact, there are a lot of location-exclusive Pokemon if we prioritize captures in Yellow. Caterpie and Metapod in Viridian Forest, Clefairy in Mount Moon, Psyduck and Golduck on Route 6, Primeape on Route 23, Growlithe on the first floor of the Pokemon Mansion. Wait, are we just catching the entire Pokédex at this point? Kadabra on Route 8, Machoke in Victory Road, Ponyta and Dodrio on Route 17, Magneton, Voltorb, and Electrode in the Power Plant, Seal and Dugong in the Seafoam Islands, Ghastly and Haunter in the Pokemon Tower, Drowsy on Route 11, Gyarados in Fuchsia City, and Rhydon, which I forgot earlier, is also unique to Cerulean Cave. If we include multiple captures for evolutions and trades, we get to a whopping 61 Pokemon out of 151. We are already more than a third of the way there. And we have not even mentioned the Safari Zone yet. Execute, Kangaskhan, and Tauros are the only 3 Pokemon exclusive to the Safari Zone. The latter 2 are rare examples where Pokemon Yellow offers the best encounter rate. But what about the rest? Both Scyther and Pinsir are available in Yellow, with the same encounter rate as their Red and Blue counterparts. We can also purchase them at the Celadon Game Corner, but for a hefty price. We are committed to Yellow, so we will catch them both in Yellow. Then we have Dratini and the problematic exclusive Dragonair. Well, how about we go for Dragonair? I have complained about it several times before, but how bad could catching one really be? I mean, it's a 10% chance, we're fine, right? Everything's fine. We're gonna be fine. We will be catching our third Dratini in Pokémon Red though, so we can benefit from the trade XP bonus for Dragonite, who really needs the boost. Remember, this is the toughest Pokémon to obtain in Gen 1, so we will do everything we can to help. Finally, there are a couple of Pokémon that are Safari Zone exclusives only in Yellow: Marowak and Tangela. Following our Yellow First rule means we must add those two to our Safari, despite their painful 5% and 4% encounter chances. Yeah. Next, let's tackle version exclusives, the very reason I originally avoided Yellow. There are only 6 Pokémon strictly version exclusive in Gen 1. Ekans, Arbok, and Electabuzz in Red, and Meowth, Persian, and Magmar in Blue. This means we are required to visit the Power Plant in Red and the Pokémon Mansion in Blue. This is perfectly fine for 2 reasons. First, we need to reach Cinnabar Island in both games anyway to revive fossil Pokémon. Second, Gen 1 is very flexible and allows us to skip large portions of the game if we so desire. Since we only need Surf, we are free to ignore many gyms, and even a few HMs. We don't even have to go through the lengthy Sylph Company, as we do not need to unlock the Saffron City gym at all. The main drawback, though, is that we cannot enter Cerulean Cave, home to many great evolved Pokémon. This means we cannot catch an Arbok directly, and we'll have to evolve an Ekans instead. It is only a level 22 evolution. There is way worse. Persian is a forced evolution at level 28. Then there are the soft version exclusives, available in both Red and Blue, but not Yellow. This group includes the Beedrill evolution line, Raichu, Coughing, Wheezing, and, surprisingly, Jinx. As a consequence, we will be spending some extra time in Viridian Forest during our Red playthrough, as well as in the Pokémon Mansion. I wish we could catch the toxic Pokémon in the Mansion while we are there for Magmar, but Wheezing only has a ridiculous 1% encounter chance in Blue. We will also fish a Poliwhirl in Ether version in order to trade it for the elusive Ice-type Controversy. A few outliers complete our critical path, starting with Porygon. As much as I would love to take advantage of the reduced price in Pokémon Blue, our playthrough of that version looks to be very short. I don't know if I will have enough money by the time I'm done, so I will tentatively mark this one as Blue. We will be farming Elite Four fights in Yellow regardless, so we can get it in this version otherwise. And we can use that money to buy Vulpix. Since it is the only way to obtain it in Yellow, we will get 2 for Ninetales. And then we have Mew. We will obtain this one in Yellow, to check if the Mew glitch is different in any way. Simple as that. We are now missing 62 Pokémon, all available in several places at the same time. This is where things get trickier, right? Not really, we have our critical path. We can just check the areas we know we will be visiting and add common captures from those places. For example, remember how we are going to the power plant for Zapdos? We can easily catch Magnemite on the way. Grimer and Muk are also available there, but with a low encounter chance. So we will instead catch those two, plus the common Rattata and Raticate, in the basement of the Pokémon Mansion. Nearby Seafoam Islands we are visiting for Articuno is a great place to find Krabby and Kingler. Next, the Safari Zone. Since we will be safarying like crazy for those rare 4% encounters, we might as well obtain Rhyhorn, Cubone, and Parasect. No Chansey though. I am not risking another 4% encounter chance when we have a better shot in the biggest, most important area of the game, Cerulean Cave. This final dungeon is the endgame catch-up area, and as such, is filled to the brim with high-level, already evolved Pokémon. So we can just go nuts. We can grab Golbat, Gloom, Venomoth, Weepinbell, Graveler, Chansey, and Ditto. Sure, we are dealing with several 5% encounter chances, but without Safari Balls. I'll take those odds. Now, do you feel like going on a fishing trip? A Pokémon fishing trip? Grab your super rod and let us fish the many water types of Gen 1. Since we are in Cerulean Cave, we can obtain Seaking and Goldeen there. On Route 20, we can fish for Tentacruel. Strangely enough, that Pokémon doesn't appear at all when surfing. It's only Tentacool, which we don't have either. Back on Cinnabar Island, we can easily fish 2 Staryu for an easy evolution. Same thing on Route 18 with Shelder. Next, Route 12, the fishing route. We can get both Horsey and Seadra with our Super Rod, then Slowpoke and Slowbro by surfing. Oh, and also Magikarp, which we can get literally anywhere there is water. Finally, on Route 23, we can get the entire Poliwrath evolution line, bringing our total to 125 Pokémon caught. We are so close to the end. And only now do we get to the hard part, where we have several Pokémon in multiple areas that we have to properly organize. Except it's still not complicated because there are some clear, better choices. The yellow version of Route 23 is the best area in all of Gen 1 to catch both Nidorina and Nidorino. And Route 22 just before is great for Nidoran female and male. Both areas also have a 20% chance to encounter Mankey. That's 7 Pokémon right there. Next, Sandshrew is best caught on either Route 3 or 4. It doesn't matter which, they both have the same encounters. Spearow is also very common there, so we'll catch one as well. Jigglypuff can be caught on 4 different routes, 5 through 8. Which one should we choose? We could go for Route 7, as it combines well with the 25% chance to encounter Abra. But we are already committed to Route 8 because of Kadabra, so we will stop there instead. This means we only have 20% chance to find Abra, but we are grinding for a 5% chance on this route anyway. Doduo can be caught on Route 16 through 18. We will pick 17 because of Fearow, another 25% chance encounter, and the fact we decided earlier to find the 1% Dodrio on this route. This, funnily enough, means we want to capture every Pokémon available in Tallgrass from Route 17. Oddish and Bellsprout are available across numerous locations in Kanto. The tiebreaker is Venonat, whose best encounter chances are on routes 14 and 15. We can catch Pidgeotto there as well, albeit with a lowered encounter chance than if we had caught it on Route 13. I think this drawback is well worth it, considering Route 13's Tallgrass is far and behind several trainers, whereas Route 15's Tallgrass is readily available right out of Fuchsia City. Oh yeah, we are getting to the point where this level of detail matters. Onwards to caves and mountains for our remaining captures. The second basement of Mount Moon remains the best place to catch Paris, even in yellow. Geodude and Onix can be caught during our time in Victory Road. Machop, funnily enough, is relatively rare in yellow, and almost unique to Rock Tunnel. So I guess we will not leave until we get one. And finally, Zubat. I mean, it's Zubat. You can get those anywhere. Like, really absolutely anywhere. Do we really need to put it in the guide? Okay, well, technically, its highest encounter chance is the first floor of Mount Moon. But if we make it through the entire game without encountering a single Zubat, we have bigger problems. This leaves us with 2 final problem students, Pidgeot and Rapidash. Since those two are forced evolutions, we will catch Pidgeotto and Ponyta in red and blue to benefit from the traded XP. But where? The highest level at which we can encounter Ponyta is 36. On the same third floor, we will be looking for Coughing, Wheezing, and Magmar. That's easy enough to add to either version. Pidgeotto's best level is 32 on Route 21, south of Pallet Town. It is an area we don't go to for any reason. But hey, if it avoids any additional Elite Four fights, I'm game. And with this, we are finally at the magnificent number of 150 Pokemon? What? Oh, I forgot about Pidgey. I'm so sorry, little dude. It's like Zubat. You can get those things everywhere. How about Route 8? We are catching pretty much everyone there already. All right, 151. It is that easy. So with this complete guide, we are set forever, right? Nope, not even close. See, there is one little thing we have not accounted for. The most fun part of a living Pokédex. Luck. This is just a template. It doesn't take into account lucky encounters, unlucky droughts, issues arising from lack of skill, and other miscellaneous problems I have not thought of because it has been a hot minute since I last played Yellow. We could plan for literally everything, but I'd rather just start the game and see what weird fun stuff happens. So, what are we waiting for? Let's go! Next video. I need to actually set it up and play the games. I'll be streaming it though. Maybe you can drop by.